What about at YouTube? Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about where I see the Jew world order unfolding. What's going to take place. Now we've seen, you've seen lots of different books, movies, whatever, that talk about a dystopic future, a brave new world. 1984. There's countless movies and discussions. The transhumanist junk, all of that stuff, and that's all fine and dandy as ways to view the possible future. But I want to talk about how I think it's going to affect you inside emotionally, and how your psyche is going to be affected, and how it's being affected actually. I'm going to try and coordinate some examples and thoughts together to explain that. So let's start off right quick with a little bit of Mormon doctrine, okay? Mormons used to teach, I don't know if they still do, but the Mormons used to teach that before this phase of the events, this physical life, that there was a war in heaven because there was two opposing ideas of how they should run this physical realm. And the idea with Mormonism is that you start off as a spirit child, and then you've got to progress to a physical being before you can progress essentially into gods, as far as Mormons believe it. But anyway, the story goes that there was this war because you had Satan, called Michael back in the day, said, hey, let's just push everybody through. Everybody gets a diploma. No child left behind, right? That was the policy of Satan, and he put that forward. Oh, and then with the side note of, since I thought of it, the glory goes to me for getting everybody through the plan. Okay, and then Jesus said, no. God, this is God's. The glory goes to God, and people should go down there, or go there to the physical realm, and they should, choose with free will. What they'll end up, being judged upon. That they will have the choice and free will to make their own decisions, their self-determination, to guide themselves through this physical realm without being pushed through. So there's a war in heaven, and Jesus and their crew wins out. 2/3 follow that plan. 1/3 rebels. And the rest of the story might be interesting for another discussion, but the point of that story that I want you to think about is the no child left behind part, okay? Alright, so then I'm going to start talking about my experience in DSD operations, okay? So it used to be, if you were a vendor to the grocery stores, that you would go in and you would make a relationship with the grocery manager, and whenever something was happening, whenever there was promotional activity, etc., you would talk with him, and based upon your relationship with him and how good a salesman you were, would determine, you'd be able to get a plan for what you're going to do, and between the two of you, you would be the builders and the architects of whatever the plan was going to be, okay? And then the responsibility was also 100% on both of you for success or failure during these decision-making processes. Well, as time's gone on, they've taken that away, and so now the DSD vendors, they follow directions, but the directions come from all sides. You get directions from your company, you get directions from the individual stores. Nothing ever matches, nothing ever meets up, but it's all done under the guise of, this is going to be better because it's going to be simpler, it's going to be more straightforward, there's not going to be different things happening in different stores, right? Because, before, you might have a relationship with this guy, he allows you to do this much, the guy down the street you can't work with as well for whatever reason, he only gives you this much, so you might have 10 times the activity at this store than this other store. Well, we're gonna solve all that. We'll central planet. We'll up on high, the math magicians and bean counters and the guys with gender studies degrees, are up there on their computer, and they're making PowerPoint presentations, so everybody can get together and jack each other off in the stockholder meetings, because they've done projections based upon all of these projected schemes that are going to happen. Like, okay, instead of the vendor doing it, we're going to do it. So we on a buyer level, we on a totally different level decide this is what's going to happen. It's all painted with the same brush. Life should be beautiful, right? It's not going to be 10 times over here, then over here. It's going to be the same here, 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 the same here. Not taking in any consideration to differences in demographics or volume, or just a number of different factors that would affect a sensible person's decision making. It's just the busy store in the rich area is going to do it this way, and the slow store in the, whatever ethnic area over here is going to do it this way, the same way. It makes no sense, where you should be promoting certain things here and other things here based upon your clientele. No, it's just all with one brush. Well, not only does it not work because it doesn't take in these subtleties, but it also doesn't work because it's all fantasy. It's all dreamt up shit. Nothing ever works out that way. You can't paint everything with the same brush, no matter how hard you try. So what happens is, I don't even know the name of a lot of the grocery managers I'm supposed to deal with. That's not even a factor. It's just the store gets down the Bible called the snack notes from the gods of whatever company it is, and I get my information that tells me speculatively what's supposed to happen. It always says, hey, we've paid for a bunch of space. Go out there and execute. You have X amount of space that we've secured in each store. But that doesn't mean shit, because if I go to the store and their snack notes don't say that in their snack notes, then they tell me to go pound sand, So I can never plan. I can never get an idea what's going on. I'm not an architect of anything. But then yet again, when it comes to the blame game, even though you're not the architect, the blame always goes to the bottom anyway. It always goes to, why didn't this work out? Why didn't this happen, And what they'll tell me from my company side is, you need to give us names. You need to tattletale on whoever it is that's giving you pushback on whatever dreamt up scheme was given in your information. We need to do it that way. Totally destroying your relationship with the people that you don't have anyway, because you're just a robot, but still you have to work with these people. You don't want them angry at you, upset at you, because they can make your life even worse hell if they don't like you. And there's just no way to get along in business. I'm counting on you. I mean, come on, it's retarded. But that's what it's turned into, okay? And so there's another example to think about. So first, the No Child Left Behind, then the central planning aspect, okay? So with this New World Order, what I see happening is that you'll have less and less control of your destiny. You will have less and less control over your decision making. You'll be required more and more to just step in line, but that line will never be defined. You'll constantly be in a state of insecurity and nervousness, because you'll never know what's going to happen for sure. Okay, that's what I see. And then just generally, this is my experience as I'm just sort of like thinking lately, and maybe it's just isolated, maybe it's just a quirk, I don't know, but maybe you can relate as well. It seems like there's less and less people that I can trust. It's like I feel more and more and more and more alone. That's the feeling I get. More alone and alienated. Because whenever I've got an issue that historically I would say, oh, that can be solved, I just need to call up my buddy this guy, or